We used to be able to, at least in US and Canada, we used to be able to have one person working, and the other person stay at home and raise the family. But because of this, now you had to have two people working, and a lot of times two people working each two jobs and trying to do everything, and they're just scraping by. And what is that? What happens to their kids in that environment? What does that look like? What is the society decay in that? In Bitcoin, you'll be back to one person working, and then because prices that should fall naturally and actually get faster and faster deflation, then that person will be working 20 hours a week, and then 5 hours a week. And then, and they'll get richer the entire time because the natural state of the free market is in service to them.
Forget everything you've been told about the economy, because the truth is far more disturbing than most realize. There was a time when a single income could buy a home, raise a family, and build a future. That reality is gone. Today, even with two parents working multiple jobs, families are just scraping by. The system isn't failing, it's functioning exactly as designed, to keep people overworked, stressed, and stuck. Households are crumbling under pressure, children are growing up in instability, and society is fraying. Jeff Booth lays it out plainly: we're living inside a rigged economic system, built on debt and perpetual inflation. But there's a way out. Booth introduces a vision where Bitcoin redefines the rules entirely. Imagine a world where prices fall instead of rise, where one income is once again enough, and technological progress actually frees up time instead of consuming more of it. In that future, you'd work fewer hours, 20, then 10, maybe 5, and still grow wealthier. It's not a fantasy. It's what happens when markets are truly free and money holds real value. Bitcoin offers a return to that natural economic state, one where productivity lifts everyone, not just the elite. The legacy system is collapsing under its own weight. You can either cling to a broken structure or embrace the shift that's already unfolding. Bitcoin isn't just an asset, it's an escape hatch. And as the collapse accelerates, the choice will become clear: adapt and thrive or be left behind.
Stop. You don't have time. Don't miss out this 2025 bull run. Educate yourself first ahead of the crowd. We have created the ultimate step-by-step crypto cheat guide that will guide you this bull run. Unlock the secrets of crypto and make smarter investments today. Now by clicking on the link below to get your exclusive copy just under $10.
How did you come to like Bitcoin as a useful asset, as actual money and a solution to like a free market moving towards deflation?
So let me just start with a couple of things, because this is so confusing. You have to almost go back and forth and say, and keep asking yourself, what would the world look like from measuring this one system? What would the world look like from the other system? And you have to stay there, right? And you have, because it's so hard to understand. And so instead of saying Bitcoin, say, and protocols don't come around very often. The internet was a protocol. The TCP/IP was the base layer of the protocol that was developed by DARPA in the 60s. It took 20 years till layer 4 HTTP came out, and another 20 years till your iPhone was on top of that, using the same protocol stack. And what does that say? What it says is protocols develop very slowly, with intention, and they're winner take all. There is no second internet. Right? There's no, you can be North Korea and say, my citizens can't be on the internet. You can't choose to not participate without participate. If you choose to not participate, you're not in it. Right? But it would also say because they don't come around very often, we would compare with them with the technologies that come around more often. So we would think we could do a better Bitcoin, right? It would be natural to think that. And and a free market would naturally do that, as you created 20,000 other coins, because people on Bitcoin had the appearance of making all this money, right? So I'm going to make my next one. But what is actually happening is Bitcoin is the base layer of the protocol, and it's and that protocol is what created Bitcoin. Is the first time in human history we had something that was decentralized and secure, open, decentralized, and secure. And we should take every one of those words: open. Anybody could use it. They didn't require a government to say yes to front. You could front run your government. You could front run institutions. Anybody in the world could use it. It was wide open. Decentralized, nobody could control it. Right? It would get so it was. You could have the most Bitcoin. Didn't matter. Nobody could control it. It was completely decentralized and secure. It couldn't be hacked. That would mean, for the first time in history, that as well, that never seen that. We always trusted institutions to protect us, and then those institutions end up hurting us. But so this was something very new and would be misunderstood. So from that position, and then because of the way of proof of work, it's bounded by energy. So you have a physics-backed system bounded by energy, right? And energy is a first principle of life that's decentralized and secure. And what's happening if you measure in Bitcoin is it resolves the paradox that I described before. We live in an inflationary system, but if the free market is deflation. And resolving that paradox is if you measure in Bitcoin, all of your prices will fall forever. And if you measure other currencies in Bitcoin, you can see the relative debasement of every currency, right? You can see it against Bitcoin. The relative debasement of the US dollar against Bitcoin is less than Argentina and less than Venezuela. And you can see the relative debasement perfectly. If you measure this house I'm sitting in right now in Bitcoin, 4 years ago, this house was 100 Bitcoin. This house today is 15 Bitcoin. Even though in other system, the measurement from the other system, this house has gone up from $1.4 million to $2.1 million in the same piece. So what is that saying? All prices on the energy-backed decentralized secure protocol are falling. It's the free market imposing this. And it doesn't care what I just said. It doesn't care about you, me, and it doesn't care. It's imposing this. Now, all of the people that are buying houses, what are they doing, and why are our systems degrading? Because what they're saying is, I can't store my money in cash. I have to store it in a house, right? As bankers understand that, and more money understands it, or people in China understand that, another thing, they have to move their money into a hard asset. And a house moves, instead of having its utility value, where we grew up in a family in a neighborhood 50 years ago that was a neighborhood, it moves into a store of value, and it becomes an instrument that is not a utility. But why this is so hard to understand is because most people, 99.9% of the planet, is measuring from the system that's debasing. But if you just simplify that, if you say, if Bitcoin stayed decentralized and secure, it is repricing the world. And people ask when? Right now, every day. Right? It's a light switch, because what's going to happen here is a whole bunch of people are thinking they are getting returns at a 10% IRR or 8.5% IRR or 5% IRR in a bond. And Bitcoin has returns of 50% IRR for the last 16 years. And it'll have 15% for the next 16 years. And so all of these trades are losing value against the repricing of moving to the free market.
Bitcoin is more than just an asset, it's the revolution of monetary truth. A decentralized force driven by energy, Bitcoin stands in stark contrast to the crumbling fiat currencies. In a truly free market, prices should naturally fall, and Bitcoin is showing us that reality. Where your house once cost 100 BTC, it now only costs 15, but its value rises as the dollar weakens. This isn't speculation, it's the market self-correcting, with Bitcoin delivering consistent annual returns. Bitcoin isn't a gamble, it's the escape route from a rigged system. Adapting to Bitcoin isn't a matter of if, but when. With the world's crushing debt piling up, the system is mathematically doomed to fail. Your assets, propped up by this broken system, are nothing more than an illusion. But Bitcoin changes the game entirely. It's the ultimate debt destroyer, proven by countries like El Salvador, whose bonds skyrocketed after adopting Bitcoin, while the US faces downgrade. This is financial reality, not a guess. As productivity rises and prices fall, Bitcoin is becoming the honest measuring stick the world needs. The great repricing has already begun. As the old system collapses, the question becomes, which side of this transformation will you be on? The shift to Bitcoin is inevitable, and its impact will be felt far beyond speculation. Let's dive into more insights from this interview.
I get asked the same question all the time, Andrew, which is the credit underlying the existing balance sheet of the world, when I wrote my book, was 185 trillion. 250, and 185 trillion of that credit came in the preceding 20 years. So as the faster, remember this, productivity growth is deflation, right? So the faster productivity growth, forget GDP, faster productivity growth is deflation, faster deflation. So when people talk about productivity growth and increasing prices, it's like, how could you say those two things in the same thing, right? Because the productivity growth is leading to faster credit growth, and it's exponential because productivity growth is exponential. So the other side of the ledger has to capture that productivity growth at a faster rate. So the 185 trillion that came within the preceding 20 years, you knew it was going to happen. It was going to accelerate because the productivity growth of AI and compute and everything else was exploding around the world, and it had to capture it to keep that system in check. So it had to concentrate it. Government had to get bigger. Individual rights and freedoms from the centralized control system had to go away because it was a centralized control system. And I predicted in that book what it would be 5 years later. And because you knew it was exponential on both systems. And today we have $400 trillion of debt underlying that balance sheet. Now the $400 trillion of debt, if you paid back, that's in another 5 years, we've added that much more. Right? That's not the unfunded liabilities. And let's just say it for what it is. The debt is insolvent. Right? If you tried to pay back the debt at $1 a second, it would take 12,873,000 years to pay back. It's already insolvent. The people that believe it's solvent are letting their wages get stolen in it at an ever-increasing rate when all they need to do is move their time and energy to Bitcoin. But a lot of people will stay stuck in this. If the debt is insolvent and the total asset value of every single thing in that is 900 trillion global wealth, you could say that's our perceived wealth of the world, right? If you own a home and even if you have a mortgage against it and you have that gap, you think you have that money, right? But if the debt is insolvent, and nobody will allow the debt to go insolvent, but if the debt is insolvent, then the 900 trillion isn't worth 900 trillion. Your house is worth almost nothing. Right? If it all failed, it would be a complete collapse. Every bank would collapse. Everything would collapse. So what do? We pretend it's solvent and we add more to it at an ever increasing rate. Yeah, well, look at El Salvador as an example, right? Their bonds have been upgraded, I think 2 or 3 times since they put one Bitcoin a day on their balance sheet. That was all. It's really simple. At the same time, U.S. bonds have been downgraded twice at the same time. So what's happening is Bitcoin is healing the debt. It's removing the debt in El Salvador. They think they're going to be debt free in 2029. Their bonds are now trading at par. Right, they were 23 cents on the dollar 4 years ago. It was going to go insolvent. IMF again, and they said no to the IMF, and they said we're putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet because it's a control system. It's not so the debt is being repriced. It's going away. Right, it's the same thing if you own Bitcoin. If you owned Bitcoin at 10,000, right, and now it's 96,000, 98,000, whatever it is, and you had a bunch of debt, you could retire the debt. It's the same for any single person, any single government, we believe these governments because the governments have gotten so big by extracting more and more. Governments they're supposed to serve us. Now they prey on us by extracting more. Right. And we believe that system is normal because it seems normal to the system we're measuring from. It's not normal. It's not normal at all. And so you don't have to wait for your government. You don't care. We have a very narrow mindset because we see Bitcoin as a protocol, and that means it's developing in layers. And that means you don't need another token or anything else to be able to integrate with it. And it's all interoperable. And so it's moving faster and faster and faster. And it doesn't take a developer to build this other kludgy coin with a bridge or anything else to be able to use it. It just is. And so that means the cost is so much less for the developers that are building onto driving an API into the protocol, all the wallets interconnect, and it's moving faster and faster. Well, there's a whole bunch of belief because tokens are still, they can have a token and then make a bunch of money on the token and sell the token and everything else. Well, there's a lot of belief that that's a real return. I don't think all of those are going to zero. So because it's native into the protocol. So how do you have to think about that? You have to think about whether companies that can deliver enduring value into something that is going to free. Right, a lot of this stuff is going to free or close to free, and so you have to construct companies differently. You have to construct the teams you're working with have to be different. It's so different than the venture world that exists today, right? took money from, I was part of, I understand, and then to move your head over to this, to what this looks like.
As Bitcoin approaches its first potential death cross since 2022, the $80,000 support test is more than just a technical pattern, it's a stress test for the entire global financial system. The cryptocurrency's current volatility highlights the unsustainable tension between inflationary fiat systems and the deflationary nature of technological progress. Short-term holders are panic selling, while long-term investors hold firm, reflecting the broader economic paradox. The $400 trillion global debt bubble relies on continuous inflation, while productivity gains naturally push prices lower. As Jeff Booth warns, this system is doomed to cannibalize itself to survive, explaining why governments grow more authoritarian as currencies weaken. Yet Bitcoin's protocol offers a way out. El Salvador's bond market recovery after adopting Bitcoin proves the model worked. Their debt was upgraded, while dollar-denominated bonds faltered. While the death cross may spark fear in the short term, the underlying truth remains. Fiat systems are mathematically doomed, while Bitcoin's energy-backed design solves the trilemma of secure, decentralized money. Technical analysts are keeping an eye on the $76,741 support level, but the bigger picture reveals Bitcoin's role in repricing global assets against honest money. Whether this dip turns into a crash or a buying opportunity depends on recognizing Bitcoin's true purpose, not as a speculative asset, but as the base layer for a new financial system. While the coming weeks may show price weakness, the long-term trend remains clear. As with all technological revolutions, the old system fights the hardest just before it collapses. This potential death cross, rather than signaling an end, could mark a new beginning for those who understand the ongoing monetary shift. As we wrap up, what do you think? Would you rather hold cash, real estate, or Bitcoin over the next 5 years? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.